Hey there, Ryan Deiss here, CEO of digitalmarketer.com, and I want to walk through what is one of the most useful and critical documents, one of those critical tools that we use here at DM anytime we're writing copy. And since everything we're talking about right now is about crafting high converting winning copy, we definitely would be doing you a disservice if we didn't talk about this particular tool. Before I get to the tool itself, I kind of want to address really what the tool is addressing, this idea of transformation. Because I got to tell you, I don't care what it is that you're selling, if it's a product, if it's a service, if it's B2B, B2C, if it's a widget, if it's a piece of software, whatever it is. We're always selling transformation, right? That's the one thing that everybody, no matter what it is that they're buying, is actually buying, this idea of transformation. And what we mean by that, and what I think is important to kind of write down, is that people don't buy products or services. They don't buy features and benefits. One of the kind of, you're going to hear, we're going to talk a lot about the difference between features and benefits, and that matters. But, when I hear about copywriters talking about, oh, just describe the benefits of a product, the problem with that is you're still talking about the product. Yeah, benefits are more powerful than just talking about features, but if all you ever do is talk about the thing that you're selling, you're never going to be as effective as if you talk about the person, your customer, the avatar, the person who's actually going to be using this product. So people don't buy products and services, they don't buy features and benefits. People buy transformation, okay? That is the thing that everyone is always buying, and that's the thing that I want you to keep in mind. So, but what do I mean by that? Well, what I mean is simply this, all right? I want you to imagine that this is your customer. This is Mr. or Mrs. Before, and as you can see, they're not overly thrilled with life at this particular moment in time, and that's because they're in this less desirable before state, right? And really where they want to be is over here. They want to be in this more desirable after state. So when I speak about this idea of transformation, that's what I'm referring to. This transformation from a less desirable before state to a more desirable after state. And we think about copy, we think about sales, right? A great sales message, great copywriting, and its essence is simply articulating this shift from a less desirable before state to a more desirable after state. A product, a great service. All it's simply doing at the end of the day is transporting people from a less desirable before state to a more desirable after state. That's what products do. That's what services do. And when you are writing copy, this is what you are describing. It is this shift that you are describing. If you ever get to where you're talking too much about the product, then that means you're not talking about the customer, and that means that they're going to start tuning you out. Now, the way that we make sure that we do this is through the tool that I'm about to show you. But first, to really illustrate this point, I want to look at some examples. This is an ad from kind of the mid-2000s for Apple. This is when Apple first came out with their iPod. You know it's really old because it has the the little wheel on it that's kind of swirling around over there. So you have the original iPad. But if you look at it really closely, what is Apple actually selling here? The device itself is really small. You can barely even see it. But what's the before state that they're helping to move people out of? Well, people look at this and say, well, this product helps people have fun. So maybe the before state is their life is really boring, and now it's really fun and vibrant and colorful. Maybe it's we transform people from being kind of, maybe a little bit nerdy to being really cool. I mean, look at these people. They're all really, really cool. Well, what I would argue is the thing that Apple has always been selling, the way that they transform people is they transform people from being kind of one of the herd to being individuals, right? If you look at what's going on here, all these people are individuals, they're in their own individual box, in their own individual color, but look at the color of the earbuds. They were white, and at the time when these came out, every other earbud on planet Earth, going all the way back to the Sony Walkman when it was going over your ears, it was black. So in producing white earbuds and emphasizing them in an ad like this where you have silhouetting, they're really selling individualism. That's what Apple's been selling. They're not selling computers, they're not selling music devices, they're not selling phones. They've always been selling the same thing, and that is individualism. The before state, the less desirable before state is you're one of the herd, you're one of many, you don't really have a personality of your own, you don't really have a soul, right? They're selling you your own individualism. That's the shift that Apple is allowing their customers to make, but note that they almost never talk about the product. They almost never talk about the features or even the benefits for that matter. They only speak to the transformation. Here's another example. This company, Plastic. Plastic is a simple service that allows you to pay, like a maid or a babysitter or a contractor via credit card, even if they don't accept credit card, right? So it's kind of like a PayPal type option for consumers to pay household vendors. Now, if you look at this though, they don't talk about that, right? The headline, "Never write a check again." That's good copy. But if you look at the actual message, and this is another critical thing that I want you to keep in mind as you progress through this training, copywriting is not just the words. It's the message as a whole. And messaging and copy and ideas can be conveyed through images. If you look at this image, what they're conveying here is a woman who has been already transformed. She's been transformed from her life being very hectic and busy and all over the place to now look, she's able to just kick back in the middle of the day, look at the sun streaming through the window. She's able to kick back in the middle of the day and sip a cup of coffee with her head back like, ah, yes. Why? Because she was able to pay her childcare by credit card. Now, this is a bit of a stretch, I admit, but it's really great and really clever copywriting. Why? Because they're not talking about the product. They're not talking about the features of Plastic. Yeah, there's some things in here they talk about the fees, but in general, it's only speaking to the after. It's speaking to the transformation. Now, if you're looking at this, if you're a busy, hectic mom, you're looking at that thinking, I don't know what Plastic is, but I know I want that after. So whatever it is, I'm buying. You can achieve this if you talk about your customer, if you speak to the after. You will never achieve it if you only ever talk about your product. Here's another example. Brand yourself. Look great when employers, clients, and even dates Google you. We're talking right now about very short form copy. I know that's the examples, but you're going to see this can be deployed, and you're going to use this idea of speaking transformationally, leveraging before and after, and what you're going to produce in the tool. You're going to leverage all of that through, even if it's long form copy. But yeah, look great when employers, clients, and even dates Google you. Really simple. So what's the before state? Well, the before state is when people Google me, they either don't find me or they find something I don't want. Now I'm going to look great. And then there's this guy right here who he's looking great. He's looking confident, but maybe he's also the prospective employer. who you want to look great in front of, or maybe he's the prospective date that you would want to look great in front of. The idea is that, again, it's speaking to the after. It doesn't describe how it does it. It doesn't talk about how the product works or the different services. It doesn't talk about, their unique selling proposition or what makes this better than another one. It's only speaking to the after, and that's what makes it effective. This is one of our properties, True Conversion. True Conversion does heat mapping and other tools for conversion rate optimization. You can see here it's easy to double your sales. So what's the after state? Doubling sales, but not just doubling them through a lot of hard work. Through ease. It's easy to double your sales when you know exactly what your customers want, but look at the image. Copy is not just words, it's also imagery. Look at the image. The image is, we have a woman in front of a computer, arms raised in triumph, right? If you're a marketer, this is what you want. You want to be in front of your laptop, arms raised in the air because you just crushed it. You just got a big, big win for yourself, for your company, right? So we're speaking to that after. One more example, 1-800-GOT-JUNK, right? They're a junk removal service, right? So what's the after? What's the before state? Well, the before state is I got a lot of junk. What's the after state? You got less junk. So they could be talking about, we're 1-800-GOT-JUNK and we're going to remove junk the fastest and the best, and our stuff is going to be, our trucks are the cleanest and blah, 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 right? That nobody freaking cares about. What do they care about? Well, I mean, if you're a guy that's accumulated a lot of junk because you refuse to throw anything away and you're in the doghouse, then the idea of goodbye junk, hello relief might be appealing. And then specifically when you come to the website, it's an actual video that's playing in the background. Look at this guy. He's in the after state. His wife's happy. Look, he got a kiss out of it. Why? Because 1-800-JUNK is there, taking everything away. Now this couple, you can tell he's a bit still in the doghouse. So this is actually articulating the shift from before to after. So before, truck comes by, pulls away, junk is gone magically, he's out of the doghouse. Now you've got another, in this case, car pulls away, and here's a woman who's just very, very excited because now all the junk is gone. This one's showing the after state. Again, in all these cases, junk is gone, relief is here. Do not speak about the product. They don't talk about their trucks, they don't talk about any of that stuff. Yeah, there's full service junk removal, save $10, you have that here. But nobody cares about any of your features, they don't even care about your benefits until they know, until they understand, until they believe that you can transport them from a less desirable before state to a more desirable after state. All right? This is a great story that I believe articulates the power of speaking to desired end results. So there's an author here, Nora Hayden. And Nora Hayden is a relationship writer. And some years back, she published this book called Astrological Love. So, it's generally about dating and relationships and how to find your soulmate and how to be successful in life and love. And the title of the book, again, is Astrological Love. Now, this particular book did not sell particularly well. Why? Because it's called astrological love. And no one's ever thought, I'm in this before state where I don't really know how to love astrologically. And what I'd really love to do is to be in an after state where I'm fully capable of loving more astrologically. It's just not how people think, right? And we see this a lot of times with copywriters too. Copywriters will get very, very cutesy with their titles. They'll come up with something that they think is clever. But again, you're talking about, now you've made it about you and your own cleverness as a copywriter. Don't do that. Just talk to and about your customer. Okay, just talk to about your customer. So this particular title didn't sell nearly as well as her next release, which was entitled How to Satisfy a Woman Every Time and Have Her Beg for More. Now, admittedly, this is a little bit PG-13, but you could probably imagine why this particular title went on to become a #1 New York Times bestseller, whereas this one, more of a niche kind of publication, because this one talked about the product. In this book, you're going to learn how to love more astrologically. This one talked about the end result. Right now, you're in this less desirable before state where you're utterly worthless in bed, or right now, you're in this less desirable before state where your mate is utterly worthless in bed. After, you're going to not satisfy a woman every time and have her beg for more, or if, let's say, somebody's buying it for their partner, then they get to have this benefit. You get what I'm saying? The point is, speak to the actual desired end result. Speak to the desired after, don't speak to the product, all right? So let's identify what the before and after transformation looks like for your prospect. And I truly believe that this is the first step. Before you should write any copy, before you craft a headline, this is the first thing that you need to do. And this is the tool that we leverage here at Digital Marketer to do just that. We call it the before and after grid. And it all starts off in this segment right here, in this group. And this is where you list out your customer segments, your customer avatars. Okay, and I actually have a link in there to another resource that we offer at Digital Marketer where you can really begin to think, because depending on your market, we're going to show some examples in the next video, but depending on your market, different customer segments are going to have very different needs. They're going to have very different before states and very different after states. So for each segment, you're going to have an additional before and after. But it's good to kind of get in there and list it out, or at least list the one that you're primarily talking about here. So we start with the customer. Who are we talking to? We clearly identify that, which hopefully at this point you've already done. Then we come over and we think about where is their before state. Okay, what is that before state? And there's 5 main categories that we use to do that we're going to go over. The first one is have. So what do they have before that they don't have after? Or what don't they have before that they do have after? And again, you're going to see some examples of this in just a minute. But this is when we get into features, right? And a little bit of the benefits, right? The have, if we're thinking about the iPod, right? Before, you have to carry around all of these CDs. After, you can have 1,000 songs in your pocket, right? That was one of their headlines, which really did speak to more have. So Apple's had some copy that it was more product-centric, but that's have, right? What do they have before that they don't have after? Or what don't they have before that they now have after? All right, that's have. Most copywriters, especially when they're first getting started, never move beyond the have stage, all right? The second category is feel, meaning what's their emotional state. Now, you've probably heard, and certainly you will as you progress through this training, about the importance of writing with emotion. And it is important. You need to be thinking about what is the emotional state of my audience before. Because part of being an effective writer is learning to write with empathy, right? If you can empathize with someone in where they are, then they'll listen to you, they'll trust you more. Well, empathy is simply acknowledging and kind of attaching to their feelings in this before state. That's what empathy is. You're down in the dirt with them saying, I know this is bad. Yep, I've been there too. Let's work on this together. If you're going to achieve that, you need to know what their emotional state is, how they feel before. The next level up, and as you progress down, they actually get more and more powerful, okay? So the next level up is where we have average day, okay? So what is an average day? What's a day in their life like before versus after? Okay, so when they wake up, what is their day like? You know, are they just constantly getting, kicked in the, where? I mean, what's going on? What's a day in their life like? What's a really bad day like? And again, we're going to talk through some examples, but if you've ever heard that you need to learn to speak with more narrative, tell more stories in copy, and if you haven't, again, we're going to talk more about that as we progress through this particular training. This is where that comes from. Telling stories is simply like, well, before my average day was like this, and then after it was like that, right? Telling that story of transformation. If we begin to think, what's a day in their life like before versus after, now we can begin to leverage narrative in our copy. So this is where we're gonna get some narrative arc. This is where we're gonna get some, a general sense of some stories and some ideas that can be incorporated into our copy. Then we have status. Status is very, very, very powerful. It was Napoleon Bonaparte who said, I've made the most wonderful discovery. Men will fight long, hard, even die for a bit of colored ribbon, right? That was Napoleon recognizing the power of status. And so if you're dealing with a product or a service, right? If you're writing copy for a product or a service that gives someone more status, then by all means mention that. What's an example of a product or service that gives people more status? Well, the one you're going through right now, right? When we offer certifications at Digital Marketer, you're actually getting certified, you're getting a badge, you're getting some additional status. So that's one of the things that we really talk about when we're writing copy to sell certifications like the ones you're going through right now. I realize it's getting a bit meta, but it's a safe place, right? So that's status. How are you changing status? And you may not think that my product, you may think, my product doesn't really, I'm writing copy for a landscaper. How does a landscaper help somebody's status? Well, in another video, I'm gonna show you exactly how you can sell status when selling landscaping. And if we can sell status with landscaping, you can sell it for just about anything. And then finally, good versus evil. How can you position your product, your service, your offering as an aspect of a struggle, in this kind of eternal battle between good and evil? Funny enough, this is exactly what Apple did from the very, very, very beginning. If you've never seen Apple's 1984 ad, it is worth Googling. All right, Google Apple commercial 1984. You can find it on YouTube. It is absolutely worth looking at. And what you will see is a commercial that Apple ran only one time during the Super Bowl in 1984. And they never even showed a computer in the entire ad. It was an ad kind of pre-launching the Macintosh, and they were not selling, they never showed a computer. What they did show, however, is how Apple was positioning itself as a fight against this Big Brother Orwellian style culture that was going on. They were selling computers, and they were basically arguing that they're going to be the savior of the world in this pit, in this battle between good and evil. They position themselves on the side of good. This is tough. This requires some real poetry. This requires some real art to pull this off and to do it right. But in just a little bit, I'm going to show you some examples of some companies, again, seemingly kind of very bland and boring companies that are able to do just that. Right? For example, how do you pit fried chicken? How do you make fried chicken on the good side of a battle between good and evil? I'm going to show you exactly how you do that, okay? So as you go into before and after grid, customer segment, then you fill out the before, then you come over and you fill out the after, okay? So what do they want their after state to be? And then finally, you begin to list all the products and services. Now, the reason that I have you list the product or service that you're writing for last, if you go here first, then your tendency is going to be to say how this particular product or service transforms people from a before state to an after state. I don't want you to constrain yourself initially with what is this, what are the things that you're selling? What are the things that you're writing copy for? I want you to think initially, what is their current before state, and then what is their true desired after state? Now, hopefully, your product or service fully transforms them from before to after. But if it doesn't, that's okay. Maybe what their desired after is mildly unreasonable, right? Or maybe the product just isn't quite there and you need to come up a little bit short. That's okay. That's where you as a writer might be able to inform the marketing team or the product development team about some additional product lines or some additional improvements. But I don't want you to constrain yourself merely initially on the thing that you're selling. I want you to say, my customer, where are they before and where do they want to be? Now we ask the question, does what we have to sell take them from here to there? Hopefully it does. If it does, then you're gonna have a much easier job as a writer. If it doesn't, then you're just gonna have to, tweak your claims just a little bit. Maybe not promise the sun, sun, moon, and stars. Maybe just promise the moon. You should still be okay. So that's the basic structure of the before and after grid. One of my favorite ways to use this, by the way, is to either print it out really big or to take this grid and to actually draw it up on a whiteboard. And then you can go through each one of these sections with Post-it notes, right? So it's a good way to do it, even maybe involve some other people in your company about it. So once you got a basic idea of how that works, I think it's really gonna kind of lock in these ideas as when we go through some of these examples, all right? So now that you have a general sense of what the before and after grid is, I wanna send you over to another video where I'm gonna walk you through some examples, and I think that's really gonna drill down how this works and how you can deploy it for your brand.